Welcome to Monster Motel. It started on a quiet Tuesday evening, just as the sun had dipped behind the rooftops, leaving the sky the color of bruised purple. I was 16, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, when I first noticed him. I saw him through the window. At first, I thought it was my imagination. A shadow, tall, standing just beyond the edge of our driveway, near the streetlight. He wasn't doing anything, really, just watching. I froze, staring at him as if my eyes could will him away. But when I blinked, he was still there. Same posture, same quiet. The way he stood made the air in the kitchen feel heavy. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe he had gotten lost. But then I remembered, our driveway isn't visible from the main road unless you're deliberately standing there. I didn't tell my parents right away. I figured if I mentioned it, they'd laugh. Don't let your imagination run wild, my mom might say. My dad, busy with work calls from home, would probably just nod and go back to typing on his laptop. So I kept quiet. The next night, I stayed up later than usual, listening for any unusual sounds. My house was quiet, too quiet. And then I heard it, the faint crunch of gravel. My stomach dropped. I looked toward the window in the living room, and there he was again. Same spot, same stance, watching. I visibly gulped and backed away. My hands were shaking. I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he was lost. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Over the next week, it became routine. Every night, almost like clockwork, the man appeared. Sometimes I saw him from my bedroom window. Other times, I caught glimpses while I walked to the mailbox or took out the trash. No movement, no signs he was trying to hide, just standing, watching. I started noticing details. The way his coat hung loosely from his shoulders, how he kept his hands in his pockets, his face obscured by shadows, but I could see the outline of a hat. He didn't leave notes. He didn't knock on the door. He didn't talk. He just waited. The first time I called my friend, Jenna, it was frantic. "Jenna," I whispered over the phone, "there's a man standing in my driveway every night, watching the house." There was a pause. Then she laughed. "Okay, are you sure it's not someone delivering mail or walking their dog?" "No," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "He's different. I can't explain it. I don't think he's leaving. I think he's, I don't know, waiting for me." "You're letting your imagination get to you," she said, but her voice sounded uncertain. "Maybe just stay inside, okay?" I agreed, but inside, I felt trapped. Even during the day, I kept glancing out the window, half expecting to see him lurking in the shadows. Then came the night he did something I'll never forget. It was late, past 11, and I was up, scrolling through my phone, when I heard it. A slow, deliberate tapping on the front door. My heart stopped. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I just stared at the door, my mind racing. The tapping continued, soft at first, then slightly louder, more urgent. I crept toward the kitchen, staying out of sight. Peeking through the blinds, I saw him. My stomach churned. He was standing right there, hand hovering near the doorknob, looking impatient. Not angry, not frantic, just impatient. And then he smiled, a small, slow smile that didn't reach his eyes. I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The noise must have startled him, because he froze. Then, without a word, he turned and walked down the driveway toward the street, disappearing into the dark, leaving nothing but the echo of his footsteps. I called my mom, shaking, but she brushed it off. Maybe it was someone knocking the wrong door, she said. I wanted to scream. It wasn't the wrong door. I knew it. After that night, I didn't sleep. Every sound, the wind, the branches scraping the windows, even the hum of the refrigerator made me jump. I started keeping a baseball bat by my bed, just in case. Then, things escalated. I began finding small, subtle signs that he had been closer than before. One morning, I went outside to get the newspaper, and I noticed footprints in the gravel. Not all over the yard, just a few, leading from the street to the edge of our driveway. I froze. Someone had been here, after all. I didn't tell anyone. I was embarrassed. Stalkers were real. I'd seen the news. People got hurt. But I was just a kid. What could I do? A few nights later, I was in the living room, lights off, staring out the window. I thought I saw him again. He was closer, standing near the garage. This time, he didn't move. He didn't leave. He just watched. I tried to convince myself I was imagining things, but he wasn't wearing a hat this time. His eyes, they were sharp, focused, and cold. I ran to my bedroom and locked the door. My phone was in my hand, but I didn't call anyone. What could I say? There's a man in my driveway every night, watching me? It sounded crazy. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, tall, silent, waiting. One afternoon, my dad came home early. I had stayed up the night before, too scared to sleep, and I looked exhausted. He noticed immediately. "You okay?" he asked. I hesitated. My voice caught in my throat. I think someone's watching the house," I whispered. His eyes narrowed. "Watching the house?" "Yeah," I said. "Every night. There's this man. He just stands there, doesn't do anything, just watches." For a moment, he didn't respond. Then he sighed. "All right, let's check it out." We went outside together that evening. My dad stayed in the driveway while I stayed behind the screen door. At first, there was nothing. No man, no footprints, nothing. Then, as the sky darkened, a shadow appeared at the edge of the streetlight. My dad tensed. I froze. "That's him," I whispered. He didn't move, just stood there. My dad started toward him, raising his voice. "Hey, you need to leave!" The man didn't flinch, didn't respond, just stared. And then, slowly, almost casually, he turned and walked away. Down the street, out of sight. My dad was furious. "I'm calling the police," he said. They came that night, took a report. They told us they'd send patrols. That didn't help much. Over the next few weeks, I started keeping a log of when I saw him. It became a game, though a terrifying one. Some nights, he showed up. Others, he stayed away. Patterns began to emerge, always around 10:30 p.m., always standing near the streetlight, always silent, always watching. One night, I decided to try something risky. I took a flashlight and sat on the porch. I wanted to see his face in the light. I wanted proof. I waited for hours, and then I saw him, appearing at the far end of the driveway. My stomach sank. I flicked the flashlight on. His eyes caught the beam immediately. They glinted. Gray, almost silver, unnervingly sharp. He didn't move, didn't run. He just watched. I stumbled backward and dropped the flashlight. The beam landed on the ground, flickering wildly. When I looked up again, he was gone. After that night, my dad installed cameras around the house. I watched the footage obsessively, trying to catch a glimpse of him. And I did. At first, it was just shadows. Then, slowly, I could see him, standing at the edge of the driveway, sometimes adjusting his coat, sometimes just standing. I learned something important watching those tapes. He didn't come every night, but when he did, he never left until I was asleep. Months passed. The terror didn't stop, but I started to get used to the pattern. I became hyper-aware, cautious, vigilant. I never went outside alone at night. I kept the doors locked. I avoided looking out windows after dark. And then, one night, he didn't appear. Or maybe he did, and I didn't see him. The relief was temporary. One morning, the police called. Another family, a few blocks away, had reported the same man watching their house. He had been spotted at 3 different homes in the neighborhood over the past week. My parents weren't surprised. I was. They finally arrested him a few weeks later. Turns out he had a long history: stalking, trespassing, intimidation. Nothing violent had happened yet, but the cops said he was a ticking time bomb. The day he was taken away, I felt an odd mix of relief and disbelief. Relief that he wouldn't be watching anymore. Disbelief that I had lived through it for so long. Even now, years later, I can't walk past a driveway under a streetlight without feeling a little twinge of fear. The image is burned into my memory. The tall man, motionless, staring, silent, patient, waiting. Some nights, I wonder if he was really gone, or if he was just moving to another street, another house. Maybe he's still out there, watching someone else, somewhere else, in the same quiet, unsettling way he watched me. And sometimes, I almost feel like I can hear him outside my window again.